When a jar lid stops turning for you, arthritis takes the blame, and only part of that blame belongs there. The rest often answers to daily handwork, and that work comes in 3 levels. Your hand does not close on a lid with cartilage. It closes with flexor tendons, cords that run from your forearm to your fingertips, and they are built to glide. When they stop gliding, and when a hand stops being asked to do anything hard, you get stiffness that feels like joint damage and does not behave like it. Researchers rank grip among the strongest predictors of staying independent. Level 1 happens sitting down holding nothing, and it is the rung people skip. 5 years before the lid one, that same hand did all of it without a thought. It opened pickle jars at the counter. It carried 2 full grocery bags in one trip from the car. It buttoned a coat cuff in the dark. Nothing announced the change along the way. Then one evening the lid simply did not move, and somebody else in the kitchen opened it in about 3 seconds. Almost none of the muscle that closes your hand is in your hand. The engines sit up in your forearm below the elbow, and they pull on long cords called flexor tendons. Those cords run down through a narrow tunnel at the wrist and out along the palm side of each finger, ending near the fingertip. 2 of them serve each finger, one lying over the other, and every time that finger bends, they slide past each other and past the sheath wrapped around them. That sliding is called tendon glide. A finger that bends fully and straightens fully asks each cord to travel its whole length, while a finger that only ever half closes asks for a fraction of that travel. Tendons and their sheaths respond to how far and how often they are asked to travel. When a hand spends years working inside a small range, the tissue around those cords thickens and the glide gets shorter and stickier. Nothing inside the joint has broken to cause that. And a short runway feels, from the inside, almost exactly like a damaged joint. It is tight in the morning, slow to open, and unwilling at the lid. The second half of the story is simpler and harder to admit. The hardest thing a hand does in a day has been engineered out of the day. Jar openers, electric can openers, pump bottles, ring pulls, Velcro instead of laces, a card tapped on a reader instead of coins counted out of a palm. Every one of those is a kindness, and together they retired the hand. The kitchen drawer now does the work the fingers used to do. None of this makes hand osteoarthritis imaginary. It is common after 60. It shows up as bony thickening at the finger joints and at the base of the thumb, and it can genuinely hurt. But one hand can carry arthritic joints, restricted tendon glide, and weak forearm muscles all at the same time, and only part of that list answers to work. Worn cartilage does not grow back on its own, but glide and strength sit in a different category, and both of them respond to what you ask of them. One kind of stiff hand belongs in a doctor's office before it belongs in any routine. Inflammatory arthritis, which includes rheumatoid arthritis and its relatives, is a different disease from the wear and tear kind, and it behaves differently. It tends to arrive in both hands in a matching pattern. The knuckles look puffy and feel warm rather than bony and hard. Morning stiffness lasts well past an hour instead of easing off after a few minutes of moving around, and fatigue often comes with it. If that sounds like your hands, get them looked at, because that condition is treated medically, and the treatment tends to work better the earlier it starts. If you are already taking something prescribed for it, keep taking it. Hand exercise sits alongside medical care. It never replaces it, and none of this is a reason to skip an appointment. So 3 levels in order. Level 1 is seated and unloaded, and you hold nothing at all. Level 2 is tendon glides, a specific sequence that walks those cords through their full travel. Level 3 adds load, which is the part that builds real grip. Level 1 looks like nothing, which is exactly why it gets skipped. Skipping it is what makes Level 3 feel impossible. Level 1. Open hand mobility, sitting down, holding nothing. Warm the hands first if you can. 2 or 3 minutes under warm water at the sink, or a warm damp cloth wrapped around them, makes the tissue more willing to move. That is comfort rather than treatment, and you can skip it on a busy morning. Sit with your forearms resting on your thighs or on a table, palms facing up. Open one hand as wide as it will go. Fingers straight, fingers spread away from each other, thumb reaching out from the palm. You are hunting for the end of the range, the place where it stops being easy, and you hold there for 5 seconds while you breathe normally. Then let the hand fold shut into a loose fist. Loose, not squeezed, because there is no gripping anywhere in this level. 10 of those with the right hand, 10 with the left, twice a day. Then finger spreads. Rest the palm flat on your thigh, slide the fingers apart as far as they go, hold for 3 seconds, and slide them back together. 10 times on each hand. That trains the small muscles that separate the fingers, and those are the ones that fade first when a hand spends its life half curled around a mug handle or the grip of a walking stick. Full opening is the thing daily objects never ask for. A mug handle wants a partial curl. A steering wheel wants a partial curl. A phone, a walker, a cane, a shopping cart, all partial curl. The straightening half of your hand's range can go unused for years without anybody noticing, and level 1 is the only part of this routine that trains it directly. Opening the hand wide does not get those two cords moving against each other, and that is the job of the tendon glide sequence. Hand therapists have used it for decades, and it does a job that nothing else in this routine can do. Level 2. Tendon glides. Each position below moves the two cords inside a finger by different amounts, which slides them against each other and against the sheath around them. That differential movement is the whole point. A plain fist does not produce it, because a plain fist moves everything together. Hold one hand up in front of you, palm facing you, wrist straight. There are 5 positions, 3 seconds in each. Position 1 is the flat hand. Fingers straight and together, the way you would hold your palm up to signal stop. Everything long. Position 2 is the hook. Keep the big knuckles at the base of your fingers straight, and bend only the 2 joints further out, so the fingertips curl toward the base of the fingers without touching the palm. The hand looks like a claw. This one produces the most sliding between the 2 cords in each finger, and it is usually the first position a stiff hand loses. Back to flat. Position 3 is the full fist. Curl every joint until the fingertips reach the palm, then fold the thumb across the outside. There is no squeezing here, because this position is about shape rather than strength. Back to flat. Position 4 is the tabletop. Bend only at the big knuckles so the fingers stay straight and point forward, making a right angle at the base of the hand. The fingers are the tabletop and the palm is the leg. Position 5 is the straight fist. From that tabletop, bend the middle joints so the fingertips come down onto the top of your palm, and keep the last joint of each finger straight. Back to flat, and that is 1 round. 5 rounds on each hand twice a day, moving slowly between the positions. It should feel like stretch and effort, never like pain. If a position will not go all the way, go to where it does go and hold there. Range goes back gradually for some hands and less for others, and forcing it helps nobody. If this is useful so far, consider subscribing. The channel covers hand and joint work like this every week. 2 of those 5 positions are the ones you will feel in a door key and a shirt button, because both of those jobs live in the middle joints of the fingers. Up to this point, nothing has asked your hand for force, and level 3 does. Level 2 restores the runway, and level 3 builds the engine, which sits up in your forearm. This is the level a jar lid answers to. Level 3. Loaded grip. Start with a hand towel. Fold it into a thick roll you can wrap your fingers around. Squeeze it steadily rather than violently. Hold for 5 seconds, release for 5, and do 10 on each hand. A folded towel beats a rubber ball here, because a ball only ever asks the hand to close, and closing is the half of the range you already have. Then add a pinch. Take a corner of that same towel between the pad of your thumb and the side of your index finger. Squeeze, hold for 5 seconds, and release. 10 on each hand. Pinch is what turns a key, holds a card, and pushes a button through a buttonhole, and it weakens on its own schedule, separately from whole hand grip. Then take it out into the day, because loaded grip work does not have to look like exercise. Carry the shopping in from the car with a bag in each hand and walk the whole way without setting them down. Hold the kettle with 1 hand instead of 2. Wring out a dishcloth properly. Try the jar yourself first, and only reach for the gadget if it beats you. A randomized controlled trial presented to the American College of Rheumatology tested a structured hand exercise program in women with hand osteoarthritis. Compared with the control group, the women who did the program improved on activity performance, on grip strength, and on joint pain. Their sessions ran a median of about 24 minutes. That trial enrolled women only, so those results describe women's hands. The anatomy underneath is the same in a man's hand, and so is the work. Who should be careful at this level? If you have had hand or wrist surgery, a tendon injury, a recent fracture, numbness or night tingling in the fingers, or inflammatory arthritis in a flare, ask your doctor or a hand therapist before you add the squeezing. Levels 1 and 2 are gentle. Level 3 is loading, and loading is the part worth clearing first. Sharp pain inside a joint means stop for the day, while fatigue in the forearm means it is working. But your hands are not the only thing your grip is telling you. Grip strength keeps turning up in research that has nothing to do with hands, and the reason is that it is one of the easiest honest measurements in medicine. A person squeezes a device, a number comes out, and that number keeps predicting things. The Pure study measured grip in almost 140,000 adults between the ages of 35 and 70 across 17 countries and followed them for years. Weaker grip was associated with a higher risk of death from any cause and of cardiovascular disease. In that analysis, grip predicted death from any cause more strongly than systolic blood pressure did. A review indexed in the National Library of Medicine calls grip strength an indispensable biomarker for older adults, tying it to bone density, fracture risk, falls, nutrition, cognitive function, and quality of life.
Excellent.
An umbrella review, which is a study that pools the results of many earlier reviews, linked weaker hand grip to disability, longer hospital stays, and poorer recovery. Another paper has argued for treating grip strength as a vital sign, measured the way a nurse takes your blood pressure and your pulse. That is a strange amount of work for one squeeze to do, and it leaves a question that researchers have not settled. Grip is a readout. It reflects how much muscle you are carrying overall, and it reflects how well your nervous system can call on that muscle when you ask it to. Whether pushing the number up changes what it predicts, or whether the number only reports what is already true, is not something anyone can promise you from a hand towel and 10 squeezes. So do not do this for the statistics. Do it for the lid. Do it for the coat button on a cold morning, the key that goes into the lock on the first try, the kettle carried in one hand, a grandchild's hand held the whole way along a gravel path without having to swap sides. Those are what the routine is for, and they are the first things a hand gives up when nothing in the day asks anything of it. 5 years ago, that jar came off the counter and opened. The lid never changed. What changed is how much the hand was being asked to do, and that part is still yours to set. Level 1 starts sitting down, holding nothing, and it is available tonight. There are more videos like this on the channel.